So, hello out there in podcast land. How are you all? This is Richard Knight from Insight 6, and welcome to the CX Podcast R&R. And I'm joined, as usual, by the Devon Diva himself, Mr. Rhian Huxtable. How the devil are you, Mr. Huxtable?
We haven't spoken for so long. You forgot how to address me there, didn't you?
I did, basically, yeah. It's been ages. It's been ages. And to all our listeners out there, apologies. We've been off enjoying the summer and doing all of that lovely stuff. And actually, we decided, rather than annoying you for during August, we'd wait. We'd wait, and we'll do a double whammy in September. And we'll talk more about that later. So, what have you been up to, Mr. Huxtable?
Well, what I've been up to, it's August was a bit of a washout, wasn't it? It rained a lot. I was fortunate enough to go away early in August to Portugal, and I've talked about this business that we went away with before from a customer experience perspective. So we went with a business called Jet2. Many of those listeners out there would have been with them. And, the reason we rebooked with them this year was because of the great experience we had last year, and this year didn't disappoint either. I mean, they were just brilliant. From the time you get to the airport, back further than that, the time you download your boarding passes, you don't have to queue up, you just walk right to the airport, pop your bags on, put your tags on, walk straight through. Even Bristol Airport security was a breeze going through on the way out. So coming back to a different matter, and I'll come to that in a second, but they were excellent, very professional, and you could see from every step of us getting to the airport, getting on the plane, getting off the plane, getting the transfer, getting to the hotel, that you can see they'd absolutely journey mapped it to the inch of their life. And what was great, well, I know we're going to talk about the ICS in a second. There were people, there were humans there every step of the way, helping you if you need any help. Even when we put the bag tags on at the airport, it was just brilliant. And I can see why now they are. I think they overtook TUI this year as the UK's busiest airline and tour operator. So no huge surprise there. I've been on both, and I know where I'd rather spend money.
Yeah, really good to hear.
What about you, Mr. Knight? What have you been up to?
Nice. I haven't been away during the summer. We're going away this month when all the schools are back, because we don't have to worry about that sort of thing anymore, which is brilliant. Been keeping an eye on all of the stuff that's going on, and it's interesting you mentioned the airline side of things, because obviously, not long ago there was a problem with the traffic control side of things, and that all went a bit haywire, and of course that impacted everything, and that got me thinking about what's going on, in terms of your business and how it can be impacted by other processes and other things that are happening. And although the airlines, it wasn't technically their issue, but they're in the line of fire, aren't they? They're getting it all in the neck because they're the visual, they're the people on the ground. As you said, they're the ones who are in there in the moment and all that sort of thing. So it's quite interesting the way who's to blame was the terminology used by the news. Whose fault is it? Who should be paying more money back? And although there's not a lot you can do about those sort of things, any business has really got to understand and think about the impact that other businesses have on their customer experience and the way they deliver things. Can you manage expectations around these sort of things? Can you put in certain things into your processes that might be able to negate and avoid issues that are caused by suppliers, by other people that are involved? Not just it's not our fault, but actually sympathizing, understanding, having the empathetic view of the world, and actually being able to put those into your business processes as well. Can we avoid that? I don't know what the answer is on that side of things, and I know our listeners might be amazed. They might have tuned in for that very reason, to get the answers. I don't know what those are, but one of the key ones is to actually start mapping everything that's going on, so things aren't a surprise like this. Oh my God, that's happened. We didn't realize it was ever going to happen. Well, why not? Let's map a process. It's almost that sort of disaster recovery type sort of thing. We spoke about it a lot during COVID, didn't we? What are we looking at this stuff? So that got me thinking over the summer, really.
It's an interesting point you made, because if you think about the last few years, I don't think there's been a normal year for probably since the financial crisis in 2008, wasn't there? You know, where we kind of lurched as a not just in this country, but you know, across the world, we've lurched from kind of one trauma to the next. And you know, the reality of life for I was listening to a lady who was who had got stranded by the air traffic control situation, and you know, her complaint wasn't really with the airline as it was their fault, because she fully accepted that it was outside of the provider that she bought holiday funds control. What the you know the fair criticism she had was that no one was communicating with her from the airline, you know, and you know, communication is the single biggest reason, in my view, that customers get hacked off.
Yeah.
You know, people are pretty fair-minded. They get and they understand that things go wrong. In fact, they're almost, you know, they almost look to see what they might have done to cause the problem in the first place, which 9 times out of 10 they haven't. So it's all about that communication and managing the expectation that we know things are difficult. And you know what? Even if the airline at that point didn't know what was happening, just having someone available in the airport, you know, listening to the client, listening to the customer, telling them what they knew to that point, just makes a huge difference.
It does, absolutely. And even if it, you know, again, if you're not involved in it, it's not your problem, but you can help the customer feel better at that point in time. You're actually boosting the way they're viewing your brand, aren't you? You're actually making them feel better, and they're like, oh, okay, well, I can see that they were there to help, that they were putting in place things that did make me feel a bit better. So actually, my feelings, there's the F word again, towards this brand have actually improved, even in this horrible situation, which I'm sure it was. And that's really interesting, because some of those points we've been making there have been highlighted, as you mentioned, as we started our podcast today, from the UKCS Customer Service Institute. The UK Customer Service Institute put their report out back in the summer. And interesting to see what's been going on this year in terms of those levels of customer satisfaction, if you like. And the sort of the big headline one, and I'm sure some people may well have picked up on it already, is that each of the 13 UK Customer Service Institute sectors that they look at has lower customer satisfaction than a year ago. Is this a surprise? Is this something we're seeing? What do you reckon?
Well, it's a good point, isn't it? Because, you know, if you think 12 months ago, we were 12 months back closer to the detritus of coming out of COVID. And actually, I think at that point, I mean, you and I were talking about it at the time, you know, I think businesses were making a conscious effort to try and get back on track with delivering a good service experience. And I think, you know, to be fair to a lot of businesses, they had, you know, certainly, you know, some of my clients and the businesses I'm working with are consistently investing, they're continuing to listen, they're continuing to try and make changes in the customer journey. But I still see, you know, like my example that I was going to make, actually didn't get to make it, around simple things like satisfaction at passport control. Here's a great example. So having described my, and there's a point to this, and I'll come back to the ICS thing in a moment, but having described my really positive trip out of the country, getting back into the country was nothing short of horrendous. So, you know, Bristol Airport, and I'm going to call it out, it was terrible. You know, coming back in, there were 10 passport control desks, 3 were manned. They had 3 flights turn up with sort of, you know, there must have been 500 or 600 people trying to get through passport control, and maybe more than that. And they pushed the stake, trying to get everyone to use the unmanned one there. So my son's over 10, so he was technically allowed to use it. When we got there, he couldn't use it. We had to go, Jay and I had to take him back into another queue to go through passport control. But, you know, there was just a severe lack of empathy, you know, smiling, welcome home, we're sorry, this is the situation, we've got staff shortages, or whatever it might be, just stony-faced, you know, oh God, welcome back to the UK, to grumpy people, you know, for goodness sake, you know, border control, do some customer service training,
Yeah.
because your team are appalling, or they certainly were in Bristol. And then the hilarious thing was, as you walk out, they have the smiley face buttons. And I saw every person I watched. So I stood back when I was waiting for Joe and Alfie to come out, and
Yeah.
everyone was the red one. One guy was so mad he pressed the red one 100 times. You're like that. So I do think financial pressures have come back on businesses because of the interest rates, and I think the first thing that goes for a lot of businesses is that focus on the customer, which is bad.
Yeah.
Your customers will leave you in droves. So in the ICS survey, just going back to that, 13 sectors, were there some key themes, Rich, that came out?
Yeah, so their recommendation's really interesting. This is the summary of the report itself, but it is available. I'm sure if you go out there, you can get it off their website, actually, the summary side of things. You want to have a look at a little bit more detail. But yeah, there 5 areas they actually spoke about and suggested that businesses can focus on according to the data they're getting through. And that's around preventing problems and improving complaint handling. Absolutely. And of course, that preventing problems piece, it's around mapping the journey. It's proactively looking for the points where there might be an issue. So the only way you can do that is actually gather some insight around it, not wait until the issue turns up multiple times, then you go, oh yeah, but have a look at that then. And reacting, it's about that proactivity, isn't it? So that's quite an interesting one. And then number 2 was around making it easier for customers to access help and expertise.
Yeah.
Exactly. Make it, and we've spoken about this. I just said to you before we started the recording here. We've done 70 of these podcasts now, and I think on every, I know exactly. I can't believe they haven't banned us. On every single one of them, we have spoken about the ease, making it easier for customers. It's not about the business making it easier for themselves. It's about the customer. So yeah, key one coming through. Number 3, responding to the customer's personal situation and needs. Oh, that's far too difficult to do, isn't it, Ryan? Isn't it?
Everyone's the same. Everyone needs. We should just tip everyone. That's ridiculous. What a ridiculous thing to say.
We're all sheep. We should all be that sheep dip. There you go. That's what you need, isn't it? That's a really interesting one, because that actually has quite an influence on tech, doesn't it? A lot of people these days going, everybody should be tech savvy. Majority of people know how to use all of this stuff. So there we go. Banks, great one. Yeah, shut down all our branches and you can go online. Really? Is that the right thing to do? You mentioned humans being at Bristol Airport when you went out and how great it was. It's still there, isn't it? It's a what? Say that again. Sorry, you broke up.
No humans. And no humans when we came back. They all looked as if they were robots, and not many of them.
So even if they're there, they've got to do something to help out, haven't they? Interesting one. Then number 4, professionalizing customer service. What's all that about? Why would you do that? Surely everybody can do it. It's easy, isn't it?
Yeah, easy, absolutely. Yeah, people don't need help. They can just smile, and well, that would be
it'd be a start.
Would be a step forward, wouldn't it? If people smiled at you when you were buying a product or service. And there seems to be, I don't know what it is, particularly with that point there. As we're right all know, there are some great businesses out there, of course, we know that. But, I went into my local corner shop, which is an international chain, one with a little green tree and a red sign. You'll know which one I mean. But the 2 ladies in there, they're all so miserable. You just the kids come in for their sweets after or a drink on the way in from school, and you can see them looking like, oh God, here they come, and you just think they're putting money in the till to pay your wages. So why are you so miserable? And actually, if you don't like the job, why don't you go and work in a job where you don't have to be customer facing? Just putting out there. So yeah, I see a lot of miserable people, and you just think, and look, who knows what's going on in their life, and I'm sure there might be some and other stuff that's tricky. But I was always taught when I was growing up in the customer service industry to use that interaction with customers, put your problems at the door when you walk in, and pick them up on the way out again, and try and have a decent day at work. But yeah, it is interesting the state of some of the people that are looking are supposedly looking after us. Anyway,
Yeah,
I'll get
exactly.
my
Well, no,
what was the last one?
well, the last one, moving on. So after you've professionalized your customer service, you've actually focused on it and really looked at it, is doing the right thing. It's another interesting one they're coming up with here, surely. Doing the right thing in business practice and ensuring that you are balancing the needs of shareholders, customers, employees, and the wider society. Oh, sure. Come on now. That's all a bit airy-fairy, isn't it? We're in business to make money, aren't we? Come
Yes,
on.
we are. That's an interesting point, isn't it? There's a lot of businesses now that are signing up to organisations like B Corp,
Yeah.
business in the community,
Mm-hmm.
and that is increasingly becoming more important to customers for sure. I think that's right.
But it's a really interesting one, though, isn't it? Because you've actually got to reflect that in what you do on a daily basis. Because having a badge at the bottom of your email signature, B Corp and all of that stuff, means nothing unless that is coming from the top and it's filtering down. And again, we've mentioned this a lot. From a customer experience strategy point of view, are your leaders bought in? Are they the ones who actually have a view of this? Because that will then come down through an organization. So having that badge means nothing unless you actually have got people bought into it. There's a culture of engagement, of understanding, of wanting to make a difference, for being nice. You know, if there's one thing that a lot of organizations can do from a customer service point of view, is be nice. Be nice.
Yeah.
And then people are generally nice back as well, aren't they? So there's five pieces there that which came up. And again, we've been speaking about them for 70 episodes. We've been going
along
on
with
about
cider.
and along with cider. The evidence is there. The evidence is showing that things may well be dropping. You know, is customer service, is customer experience in freefall? Is it on its way down? Have we gone past that trend? Is everything? Oh, we did it for a few years. Let's just focus back on business now. You know, is this a worrying stat?
I don't think it will ever be. Good customer experience will never go out of fashion because those good businesses will grow, they'll blossom, and they'll understand the value of their customers being on board with them. And I think, I think what's an interesting point is that customer experience and marketing budgets, all that, they're the first things that seem to go when times are tough. Which, look, you and I, Richard, run businesses all our lives. And it's tempting, isn't it? Where can we cut? Where can we cut? Where, we've got to hit that number. It takes a brave leadership team to go, no, we're going to moat, we're going to carry on, we're going to continue investing. And it was proven those that did that during COVID shot out the other end far faster and recovered more quickly. And interestingly, as those businesses that were proactive going into COVID, who were investing in the customer, in their people, actually survived. Those that didn't do that went to the wall. We saw that. We won't go to all that again, but there was a lot of them. But
absolutely.
Anyway, enough of our rattling. What's going on the 22nd then?
Warbling. So we mentioned at the start here we've got a double whammy in September. You've just listened to one on the 22nd of September at 3:30 p.m. live on LinkedIn. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're going live on LinkedIn. We're going to be talking to Tony from Astral Fulfillment, an organisation based in Swindon in the West Country. Swindon. And we're going to be talking all things customer experience, an interesting chat where we'll be asking Tony around their focus, what they look at, what touch points are the key ones for them, how do they ensure that they're fulfilling a great service for the customers, even though it's based on their clients' products, etc. So they've got an interesting setup and how they deliver their service to really, at the end of the day, make a massive impact for them, for their customers, but they've also got to make a massive impact for their customers' customers. So be a great chat with Tony and hear all his thoughts about that on the 22nd of September at 3:30 in the afternoon for half an hour, 40 minutes. So if you can join us, please do come along to that. And we'll see you there, or we'll hear you there.
And if you like what you've heard today, please like, share, and comment on the various different platforms that you're listening to us on. It's great to be back, and look forward to seeing many of you on the 22nd of December. So it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him. Thank you very much. See you all soon.